There is one thing that you can expect with the full moon this Friday, and that is the unexpected. Hi, my name's Haley Comet. Welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet, and welcome to your Magic Monday horoscope. Today we're discussing the astrology from November 11th to November 17th, 2024, particularly honing in on how it is that you can co-create with this week's cosmos, how it is that you can synchronize with this week's sky, how it is that you can align with this week's astrology. It's beyond just letting you know what energies are at play. Within Magic Monday, we discuss what energies are to be seized, what energies are opportune, and what energies you would be wise to steer away from, what challenges and snafus may be alive within these cosmic cycles. And when it comes to this week's astrology, we have two planets as the main characters, and these planets could not be more different than one another. On one hand, we have strong Saturn this week. We have Mercury in Sagittarius squaring off with Saturn, and we have Saturn stationing direct, essentially flipping directions. And when we have strong Saturn energy alive within the cosmos, there can be certain elements of our life that feels quite restrictive, that feels like it's trying to suppress us, or even suppress our words, our speech with Saturn squaring Mercury. We can feel like there's certain limitations alive. And for some of us, this could be our responsibilities. It could be the reality of the situation. For others, we could just feel this pressure to do as we're told, to play the role that's expected of us, to keep our mouth shut. But the Uranus energy asks, yeah, but what if I don't have to? What if I'm an autonomous individual? What if these are not the rules that I play by? What if these are not the values that I personally live with? What if the status quo is not something that I am particularly interested in upholding? What if? What if? Uranus energy absolutely can bring surprising, shocking information to light. We have to keep in mind full moons do tend to be reveal energies. The moon, which at many other points of the cycle was shrouded in at least some darkness, is now fully illuminated. And with that, things tend to come to light during full moons, whether it's emotions, epiphanies, information. And so there could be things that come to light this week that do surprise you. There could be legitimate plot twists ahead, changes of plans, disruptions to the norm of some sort. But I would also offer within your weekly horoscope, you might be the plot twist. There might be this epiphany, this aha around, I don't want to do this any longer, or this is not true to me. This is not a value that I stand by. So life could be the plot twist, or we could be the plot twist. Like you could even have certain emotions that surface, epiphanies that surface, ahas that surface, that do create this desire to change. And with this full moon landing in a fixed sign, perhaps change something that's been stable, that's been secure. And to think of how these planets can work together. For some, this epiphany may come out of nowhere. For some of you, it's been simmering. It's been simmering beneath the surface. You know you've had to do something about this. You know that there's been a boundary that you need to enact. You know there's something physical that you need to change within your material reality. You know you have to do the hard thing. Saturn's been retrograde, so there could have been internal pulls around just that. And now Saturn's direct. So maybe we've been thinking about it, maybe we've been praying about it, and now we gotta be about it. It's almost that energy when you get an epiphany, when you get a download, when you've been praying about and mulling over a particular issue, and you're sitting in the unknowing and waiting, and then one day, you're walking your dog, you're in the shower, you just woke up, and suddenly you know exactly what to do. It's almost like the answer has just been plopped in your brain. That doesn't make it easy. It's important to know that with Saturn direct, sometimes we have to do the hard thing, face the hard thing, but there's this intuitive aha that we receive sometimes around knowing what exactly we are to do. And it helps give us a sensation of stability, which really the Taurus moon wants, even if we are moving into change, which is the call of Uranus. And when we follow our intuition like that, a lot of times we are called crazy around, what do you mean the answer just arrived to you when you're walking your dog? What do you mean the answer just came to you in the shower? Like, what do you mean? But when you know, and you feel it within your body and you feel it within your soul, what you are to do. And it doesn't make it easy. Saturn stations direct on the very same day. I just feel like some of us are getting this kind of clear vision around something, and maybe you enact the change this week. Maybe it's just something that you see clearly and you're able to plan and plot. You know, we are in Scorpio season. It's kind of plotting season, and with Saturn direct, maybe it's just like forecasting the next couple months around how it is that you're going to implement this change. But there's a light bulb moment. And once you have that light bulb moment, I mean, you could turn the light off, I guess, but what has been brought to light because of that light bulb moment cannot be unknown. And for others, this Saturn retrograde simmering tension has been around you trying to be everything to everyone else. And recognizing that in this effort to be everything for everyone else, to play the role of what everyone has expected you to be, you have not had enough you for yourself. There's only so much you to go around. Saturn makes that clear. There are physical, emotional, and spiritual limits to our energy. We cannot be everything to everyone. And Saturn direct, the full moon on Uranus, could be getting clear around who is it that I want to be. I give up trying to be everything to everyone. Let me just define who it is that I am authentically. Maybe that will disappoint some people. Maybe that'll let some people down, but there's simply not enough me to go around. And I simply am not equipped to play every single role of what would be convenient for everyone else. So I'm just gonna step into the role of who I am authentically. That could be the story for some. Some of you have been really contemplating with Saturn retrograde where it is that you have leaky boundaries. And Saturn direct this Friday is your invitation to plug those leaks up around really getting real around what is siphoning your energy from you, what is draining you, what is depleting you. Maybe that's ways that you are investing your time, your emotional bandwidth, your labor in some way, being compassionate to other people at the expense of being compassionate to yourself. Saturn energy asks us to get real with our limitations and plug those leaks, which not everybody likes. Some people benefit when you have leaky boundaries. If there are weeds below where there is a leak, those weeds are depending upon that nourishment that comes from your draining, that comes from your depleting. And maybe that's the disruption. Maybe that's the surprise. Maybe that's us breaking outside of the mold around the weeds that were dependent on us leaking our energy in order to feed them, on the leeches within our life, the parasites within our life, where we are being depleted in order to keep these things alive. Maybe that's the Uranian shakeup around people didn't expect you to have a backbone. People didn't expect you to stand on business or something of that nature. Again, this week is going to be interesting. Some of us are going to have events that transpire that is like, I did not expect that. But some of us could be showing up in ways in which other people are like, I did not expect that. Around what's wrong with you? You're standing up for yourself? You're not letting me take advantage of you? You're not overextending your spiritual or emotional capacities to me? What's going on? Perhaps that is the plot twist. So definitely an interesting week of astrology. Of course, we will discuss all of it, everything you need to know as you navigate. I want to firstly invite you to the Cosmic Cafe. My loves, what are we sipping on to start our week? I am happy to report that I am back to my tried and true. I have a cup of coffee with a little bit of almond milk, which is the perfect match to my go-to productivity hack. If you watch Magic Monday, you know what a dynamic duo me plus Magic Mind is. Magic Mind is truly what fuels this whole operation. My filming, my editing, my consulting, all of the different dimensions of what it is that I do. I do have an unseen secret weapon that allows me to show up for all of that with more clarity, focus, and precision, and that is Magic Mind. So in case it's your first Magic Monday and you're not familiar with Magic Mind, allow me to explain. So within this bottle, within this shot, you will be supported with the following benefits. So firstly, it has matcha in it, so it does give you an energetic boost, but it is a little bit more subtle because oftentimes when you're over caffeinated, you think you're going to be more productive, but you just turn out to be jittery and anxious and all over the place. So it has a little bit of matcha, which is a little bit more of a grounded form of energy. It also has nootropics, which help you to genuinely focus, to get in that flow state when you are just so absorbed in the task at hand that there is no distraction, there's no separation between you and what it is that you're doing. You truly unlock more you out of you when you do get in flow state. You maximize more of your time and energy, and the nootropics work with your brain in order to get there. It also has adaptogens within, which help you to regulate stress, to remain calm. So to get specific on the ingredients that I love the most within my daily productivity elixir, I love that it contains ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is so helpful in helping your body regulate stress as well as adapt to stress. It contains turmeric, which is known for its antioxidant as well as anti-inflammatory properties, as well as lion's mane, which is not only a superfood, but also has some research around how incredibly helpful it is for your brain. We have a Taurus full moon this week, and when it comes to Taurus energy, it's around valuing yourself, loving yourself. And when I make the decision every single day to take my shot of Magic Mind, I am signaling to my mind, body, and soul that I'm someone who's worthy of investing in, I'm someone who's worthy of feeling good, I'm someone who's worthy of devoting my full focus and attention to what I need to get done So if you want to try Magic Mind or even subscribe like I do, you can utilize code COMET in order to get 20% off your order. I'll drop that specific link within the description as well as within the pinned comment. Thank you again, Magic Mind, for keeping our Mondays magical here in the Cosmic Corner. I so appreciate you fueling my everyday mind, body, and soul, as well as sponsoring this week's forecast. Cheers, my loves. Let's make it a magical week. Okay, so I took my shot of Magic Mind, reapplied the gloss, which means we are ready for Vibe Check of the Week. And if you are new to Magic Monday, Vibe Check of the Week is when we tell a story around the stars. We essentially take all of the astrology that we will experience within this week's horoscope, from Mercury square Saturn, Venus entering Capricorn, Sun opposite Uranus, and we compare it to a real life situation in order to give it some feeling, some depth, some emotion, some drama, right? And it's not my implying that this exact situation will play out within your universe, but when you tune into the overall vibe, you may feel it come alive, potentially just in a different way. This week's Vibe Check is all around work, so maybe you feel it come up around a family situation, or maybe you feel it play out within a relationship, within a friendship, something of that nature. Essentially, take the overall feeling of it in order to figure out what this week's astrology feels like, even if the nuances differ for all of us. So as I said earlier, this week's astrology does center around work. We've got Venus entering Capricorn, so had to make it a work vibe check. We will say that you work for a nonprofit and you do love what it is that you do. You give it a lot of your time and energy. The conditions of your working life improved significantly when you were able to work remotely. You have found that you have such a better work-life balance since being able to work from home. You've saved time out of your day. It takes you an hour to commute to the office and back. You're eating better because you're cooking food at home. You're saving money on gas. And overall, you just have a higher satisfaction within your world. And you are even more productive because you have control over your environment. You like to have your temperature in your office as you like it. And you like to have lo-fi jazz playing, and you like to be able to make your own lattes with your own espresso machine when you're able to. Like, you really like to be able to curate the environment, and you are just as productive as you were prior. And all of the metrics and all of the feedback from your bosses, from your superiors, affirm just that. And so you start the week as though it's any other week. You have a nice walk around your block. You make some eggs, you put it on a piece of toast, you pour your cup of coffee, you start playing your lo-fi jazz, and you log in to see what may be awaiting you within your email inbox. And what you find surprises you. Keep in mind, we have a Uranian flavored full moon this week. Some of us are gonna have some record scratch moments around, what did I just read? What did I just hear? You did what with who? Like, some of us could just have some things that come up that are shocking, yes. Other pieces could just be bizarre or weird or what? Uranus energy tends to catch us by surprise. And you see an email within your inbox on this day that catches you by surprise. As this email is from your bosses and it says that it is mandatory for you to come back into the office, and your heart sinks and you think of the prior version of you when you did work in the office, and you think of driving an hour to there, driving an hour back, how you felt like you were just barely scraping by. Like, working from home, you feel like you're able to save more. You think about how many times you would have to eat out working that far from home, as well as not having the adequate time to really meal prep because you were just so exhausted and so burnt out and so drained. And you just cannot believe that this is the information that you are reading. And so you do choose to stick up for yourself, like within a meeting, within your bosses. You come with your argument all neatly displayed around, I'm just as productive. This is something that has aided my own satisfaction within my overall health. We are a nonprofit. We're ostensibly trying to do good for the world. Shouldn't we also be good to one another, and you as my superiors be good to me as someone who works for you? But they are not budging. In their minds, you are company property in a sense. You know, Taurus has to deal with our possessions. So even if it's not around work, you could feel certain themes come up around people trying to possess you, people trying to tell you what to do. And the energy of the Uranus is like, Absolutely not. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to quit their job this week and walk off on the job. I'm not even saying that's what comes up in the vibe check. But there is this distinct bad news that comes in, that's Mercury square Saturn, that impacts your freedom. Mercury is in Sagittarius. With Saturn direct, authority figures are putting their foot down. They're enacting, no, this is the rule and this is how it is. And with the full moon on Uranus, you kind of have a light bulb moment because you've already felt very burnt out within this job, overworked, over capacity because you cared. Like Pisces really pulls in our spiritual and emotional bandwidth, and you overextended yourself because you did care. It felt like you guys were doing something bigger. And to be in a meeting with your bosses emphasizing, this has been something that has done wonders for my family. It's done wonders for my health. It's done wonders for my bank account because y'all are not paying me that much. And to say, no, this is how it has to be. And even when you kind of pressure them around why, I'm just as productive, like why do I need to come back into the office? You're getting a vibe of because we say so, because we're the ones in control, because this is what's expected of you. Again, the energy of Saturn can kind of bring this awareness to authority. And even if we think of this particular full moon, it's trining Pluto. So because we are the ones in power. Keep in mind, Pluto is at the anaretic degree of Capricorn. And so typical systems, whether that's playing out within, the workforce and within the status quo, like with Pluto, it's kind of its final hurrah in a sense. Oftentimes when there's an energy around power slipping through their fingers, like they can't control other employees when they're working remotely. And you can sense that's why they're trying to cling so deeply around, just play by our rules, fit in this role. Because with Pluto entering Aquarius next week, things are changing. And sometimes when the powers that be or just status quo or just the typical standard that is upheld, when they can feel that power slipping out of their control, it becomes a little bit more overt, right? Around, no, you need to do this, or you need to be where I can see you. So I can feel the sensation of control, feel the sensation of power over you because you are my possession towards full moon. But this is sort of the energy within the vibe check around, I'm not your possession. I am an autonomous human being, and I have provided so much value to this company, and to see this is how you all value me with the energy of Uranus, something's got to give. I've expended too much, and now this is the final push that I need, maybe from the universe, to just signal me around it's time to move elsewhere. I'm not saying anyone needs to do anything impulsive this week. Mercury's in its pre-shadow retrograde. I'm not saying everybody needs to rebel and quit their job and break up and all of these changes, but there just could be an energy around being in that meeting with the boss and just like seeing it clearly around, oh, okay, you guys don't value me at all. You just want me to abide by your structure, by your system, so you feel like you have more control over me, so you can turn around and bug me for things at any given moment so that I stay longer and work more than I already do. And now I see that clearly. Again, clear vision. With Saturn direct in Pisces and the full moon on Uranus, sometimes something will break your heart but clear up your vision around, wow, I really believed in the illusion that we were doing good things out in the world. And I really believed in the illusion that you all had my best interest. But now I see very clearly, by you having no reason to force me to work back in your office, but just basically saying, because we said so. Now I'm seeing so clearly that that was an illusion, that I was sacrificing myself for what? Maybe we are doing good work out in the world, but I cannot martyr myself any longer in this effort to do good out in the world. And so you decide that you see the situation clearly, and you decide that you are going to do everything in your power to set up a new system for yourself. Maybe you're going to start your own nonprofit. Maybe you're going to apply to other roles. Maybe you're going to gather material or start a petition with other people. Who knows what your next move is? I wouldn't even say this week's vibe is around doing something impulsive or dramatic, but it is something around being like, oh, I see you. I see you. So not everyone, of course, is going to be ripped from this illusion that their nonprofit bosses have their best interests at heart and that their nonprofit is doing good in the world. But there can be an illusion that we are being ripped from in some way, because ultimately that's Saturn in Pisces as a transit. Some of us might be ripped from the illusion around, oh, these people that are taking advantage of me do care about me. They just need a lot of my time and energy. And with Saturn direct, once we plug those leaks, getting very clear around, oh, that was an illusion. And some of us are going to be ripped from an illusion around something that we didn't want to face, that we didn't want to change, that we're giving chance after chance during, and we're just having to see it clearly in some way or fashion. So we'll give this vibe check more nuance as we take it into our day-by-day analysis. I do want to remind you that every time that I state is PST, Pacific Standard Time, so please ensure to adjust it to your time zone if you are located elsewhere within this world. There's also timestamps below should you feel so called to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, 11/11. So happy Monday. Welcome to your astrology forecast for Monday, November 11th. At 10:26 a.m. PST, Venus, the planet of love, pleasure, beauty, money, leisure, luxury, enters Capricorn. And thus, all of our standards within these Venusian realms of life get elevated. Right? Venus in Capricorn likes the finer things in life. And so we can find that we are now expecting and demanding more within our love relationships. We are now expecting and demanding more from our finances, even our values. That is a focus when it comes to this week's astrology with the full moon in Taurus this Friday. But with Venus in Capricorn, we are now expecting more from our dates. Like with Venus in Sagittarius, we might have been looking for an adventure. With Venus in Capricorn, we're really looking for someone that we can build with. With Venus in Sagittarius, we may have been more focused on wanting to put our money towards experiences. And with Venus in Capricorn, we may want to put our finances towards things that last, that stand the test of time, right? With Venus transiting through Saturnian territory. Of course, the typical way we think of Capricorn, and Capricorn is so multidimensional as a sign, we shan't limit it to just one dimension, but the typical thing we think of Capricorn is, of course, work and career. And with Venus in Capricorn, there can be a focus within these arenas, and maybe even with Venus in Capricorn, enjoying in some facet what it is that we do. Because my Capricorn mom said it best, you can love what you do, you can work your dream job, but there will be days in which it feels like work. Like every single person has those days that it feels like work. Like pop stars, I'm sure lots of times having their concerts and doing their shows and dancing and singing around. Obviously that's a dream come true. And some days if you have a tummy ache, you're not gonna wanna do all that dancing and gyrating and singing. Like it's gonna feel like a job. Like there are just some days when work is worky, but that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy facets of it. You might not feel like your job is changing the world, but you're like, you know what? I like that it's somewhat stable. I like some of the people that I work with. I like that I get to work from home and make my little lattes with my little espresso machine. I like that there's a garden at the office. I like that I'm able to listen to podcasts as I do my thing. Like it could be important to kind of tap into these little luxuries of life around the little facets that just make life worth living. Not to say that every day is euphoria and bliss. Does a job like that exist? I don't know, but with Venus in Capricorn, it is finding the facets of what it is that we enjoy around. I do enjoy working with my clients. I do enjoy this component of it. I do enjoy working with my clients. I do enjoy these little bits of loveliness that are encoded in what it is that I'm building. Even if what it is that you're doing now is not your end all be all, maybe it's even keeping your eye on the prize around. That's the mountaintop I aim to climb, and this is a means to an end in order to get me there in some way. And I'm going to appreciate this chapter of my life for what it is as I'm building to the next one. And when it comes to Venus and Capricorn, of course, Capricorn energy does elevate our standards. So you could be expecting more from yourself. It's important not to be hard on yourself. You also could find within your love relationship, you're expecting more from them. You're like, all right, time to step up to the plate. Chop, chop, let's get aligned on what it is that we want, on the foundation of what our relationship is on and where it is that we want to go. Venus in Capricorn can also impact our aesthetic desires. We could find that aesthetically in our fashion, in our hair and our makeup, we're wanting to come across as more polished, more put together, more professional. There can be a draw towards things that are older, vintage, classic. Could be more of a draw here. And for most of the day, essentially until 10:26 p.m. PST, the moon will be transiting Pisces, which of course is dreamy. It's also sensitive. We're in a water sign season, Scorpio season, and now we've got a Pisces moon. So we are feeling all of the feels, and the Pisces moon will square Jupiter and Gemini that morning around 5 a.m., which can be a little bit like squirrel. energy, right? We could be quite distracted. Our energy can feel a little bit overwhelmed at this time, whether we're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, whether we're feeling mentally overwhelmed. I would also highlight Venus square Neptune is separating in the cosmos. So that energy is still alive in the sky on Monday. You can get caught up on last week's Magic Monday to find out more about that particular aspect. Know that that's still alive. And with Venus square Neptune, this can absolutely be shiny object syndrome. And this could show up around, should I do this, or I could do this, or this looks fun, or this looks more interesting. You can also find it around being unable to differentiate what is real and what is not real, or even allowing your emotional landscape to be influenced by things that are not necessarily real. And what I mean by that is you could be having a good day and then you go on Instagram and somebody conceived and you've been trying to conceive, or somebody got a house and you've been trying to get a house. Like, you could be putting all of the stimuli around other people getting what it is that you want, and then feeding into this narrative around how you don't have what it is that you want, everybody else is getting what it is that you want, and allowing your own emotional landscape to be impacted by these themes that really don't have anything to do with you. Like with Neptune energy, we could be sort of believing into the dream that's being projected to us, which again could come through news and information, being able to decipher what's real versus what's not real, but also just projections, people advertising what's within their life, which might be the truth, but we don't know the full story, and we're allowing our own emotions to be impacted. Other people's reality does not say anything about you, but it just feels like there's something that you could be taking personally, or it just feels like everybody else is getting what it is that you want. Or the illusion could be everybody else has it figured out and you don't. And that can be alive not only because of that Neptune aspect, but also with the moon aligning with Neptune around 6 p.m. And this could be an energy around feeling a little bit more depleted, feeling a little bit more drained, feeling a little bit more exhausted, feeling a little bit more sensitive. For some, you might not be working because this is Veterans Day. And if that is the case for you, with Moon Neptune, it's a great day to recover, relax, as well as go with the flow. Where is inspiration taking you? Again, while we start the day with that Pisces moon squaring Jupiter, which might kind of distract our focus and dilute our attention, we do have the Pisces moon trining Scorpio sun. So again, allow your intuition to guide you, allow yourself to ground yourself around, okay, just because somebody else got a house on Instagram does not mean anything about my own housing progress, or just because somebody else conceived does not mean that I won't. Again, it's important to really stay vigilant and mindful around what you allow yourself to absorb, because with that building Moon Neptune later on in Monday's astrology, we are absorbing things, and not everything is meant to be absorbed by you. Something that I've been doing lately is asking myself, when I get overcome by a strong emotion that comes on suddenly and randomly, is asking, is this mine? And I've been shocked, because a lot of times when I ask, is this mine? I get like the clear nudge, no, this isn't mine. And what I've been affirming in those moments is I say, my energy is mine, your energy is yours, return to sender. And then I snap. You don't have to snap, but I like to snap, and I like to see myself just sending that energy back, just be like, not me, not mine. That is such a powerful statement to affirm when it comes to Saturn and Pisces, because a lot of times we take in things, energetic data, emotional burdens that were never yours to carry. And this energy of Pisces, because it's mutable and it's shape-shifting and it's aware and it absorbs these things, it's like, water, where it's like, this red Gatorade isn't mine, but I'm water, so I'm going to absorb it. Now it's part of me. But it's like Saturn and Pisces asking this filtration system around, this is not mine. Maybe this is not my problem. Maybe some of us are enforcing that boundary this week around like, not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't need to get involved with your drama. This is not mine to carry. Or maybe even like at work around overextending, taking on more than your fair share of responsibilities. You need to define, this is not mine. But even as we navigate our daily reality, we are energetic and emotional sponges. Pisces moon aligning with Neptune makes that even more apparent to us. So next time you get hit with a deep feeling of like sadness or grief or sorrow or anger, ask yourself, is it mine? Because sometimes you do pick it up from other people. Sometimes if someone else is in a lot of grief or sorrow over you, you will randomly find yourself missing them like crazy and wanting to like reach out to them or something of that nature. And you're like, this is so out of character of me. Ask yourself, is this mine? Is this mine? And if you get a no, return it to sender. That's not yours to carry. Filter that water system, because a lot of times we will be walking around with emotions that were never ours to carry. Maybe we internalized it from a client. We need to return it back to sender because that was somebody else's thing. Maybe we had a talk with a friend. We took it on. Maybe somebody else is thinking of us and sending us all of this energy. But it's important to really decipher, is this mine? Before you absorb it and make it part of your own body of water or part of your own burdens to bear, really, with Saturn and Pisces. So just a little tip for your Monday. Because with Moon Neptune particularly, we're extra emotional, we're extra intuitive, our boundaries are extra eroded, okay? We're more tempted to absorb. And so if you do have some control over what you do on Monday, I would say be in environments where you like to drink up the environment. Be in nature, be at a church, be around friends who you love, be around family who you love, do things that you love, get lost in art, get lost in music, be in waters that nourish you, that give to you, that allow you to regenerate your energy stores. You know, the Pisces moon will sextile Uranus and sextile Pluto. So there are certain activities that you can do that help regenerate your energy stores. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling defeated, really acknowledge what gives you energy versus what depletes it. What you absorb that makes you feel more renewed when you walk away from it versus what you absorb that makes you feel more drained when you depart it. And that could be people, places, or things. Important to honor what your energy is telling you. Check in with yourself. How do you feel before you go into certain environments? How do you feel after? How do you feel before you spend time with certain people? How do you feel after? It's so important to tune into what is pouring into you and what is depleting you. And allow yourself to validate your emotions. Allow yourself to validate your intuition. Allow yourself to validate your energy. Your ability to read the emotional and energetic undercurrents of life is such a powerful tool to navigate this world. Scorpio is a Mars ruled sign traditionally, and it's a water sign. Our ability to read the energy, the vibes, okay, of a situation, the waters that we are surrounded by, can be such a skillful way to navigate with Mars energy, to get what it is that we want, to defend ourselves if need be, or to even cut away what is not aligned for us. People's energy will tell on them before they need to open their mouth or before their actions need to hurt us to affirm that. The energy you pick up can be such a powerful tool in navigating when you need to be in protective mode, preservation mode, when you need to take action. It's about trusting it and using it to kind of navigate. And that takes having a very strong filtration system within yourself, doing those things that bring you back to center so that you're working with energy that is truly yours, doing the things that make you feel like you, feeling very anchored as a soul. That allows you to be a very clear conduit, that allows you to receive very clear guidance and downloads, whatever it is that you want to call it. But it also is those check-ins, right? Before you go into environments, when you leave environments, how do you feel before? How do you feel after? What energy did you take on? If there's anything that we are to learn from Scorpio season, this is around merging and just knowing that anytime we connect with someone or fuse within a group, fuse within a team at work, there is a particular potency that's alive within that merged entity. And again, it takes that kind of extricating yourself from situations, grounding into yourself in order to discern, how did it feel, my energy mixing in that pond or merging my waters with other people's waters? How did it feel when I return back to me? And sometimes it can show up in other arenas of your life that may feel unrelated, but energy is energy. And it will show up whether these fusions are adding to your life, amplifying your life, or draining from you, draining from your life. This may feel unrelated, but I promise to you it is not. Data that I would always acknowledge when I was first initially dating someone is I would look at my money. And you might be like, Haley Comet, you cannot associate your bank account with who it is that you're dating at the time. Yes, I can. And it's not even that I was spending any money on dating these people. That's not what I was looking at. What I was looking at is what would happen within my business when I was fusing energy with these people. Because like clockwork, if it was someone that I was not meant to be mixing with or sharing energy with, I would notice because all of a sudden bookings would slow down. random expenses would start popping up. You know, money is energy. And if things were flowing before and then all of a sudden this person comes in and I'm suddenly draining money, there's expenses that are coming up within my own personal life, my business has slowed down, that to me signals that something is off with my energy. And if the only thing that has shifted is my having connected with this person, I'm like, okay. Because that is a sign that energy is being drained from me. And so it gets to an overall chord that this person could be draining energy from you. So pay attention to your money, because when I was dating people who were truly aligned for me, like money would be flowing in, right? Because we're passionate, we're in love, we're feeling good. It's allowing me to feel more high vibrational, and that shows up financially, that echoes out financially. And that was signaling, hey, this person is pouring into me. This person is amplifying my energy, and that is being echoed within my bank account. You know, we've got Venus in Capricorn. So a lot of times we could deny the energy around, gosh, I just feel drained after spending time with them, or I just feel less cute after spending time with them, or I feel anxious around spending time with them. But that's not so quantifiable when you start looking at your money and you see, I started connecting with this person in this time, and now 3 months later, my bank account is lower. It's like a physical, tangible expression that this person is taking from you more than they are giving to you. And I hope you hear me clearly. I'm not saying outsource finances to other people. I'm not saying make other people responsible for your financial reality. But all I'm saying is money is energy. And if you have a hard time quantifying your intuitive hits and just how drained you feel after and things of that nature, you can't deny the digits in a bank account, especially if it is dramatically different than what you were experiencing prior. Again, not everybody needs to necessarily look at finances. I think I like to do that just because I'm an earth moon. So it helps kind of ground my intuition or ground these kind of energetic chords that I'm feeling. But it's important to navigate this world trusting your intuition, trusting what brings you back to center. And with Venus in Capricorn, again, a lot of our focus is going to our finances, to our reputation, towards our business, what it is that we're creating. And if it helps you, just kind of like reframe it within your mind. Start to see the care and keeping of you as a necessary, integral part to the effective functioning of every one of your responsibilities and obligations. See it as absolutely necessary to take care of you as a soul, just as necessary as you uphold meetings and commitments to yourself as just as relevant and pertinent and important as you would any other meeting when it comes to work. Because truly, you are the heartbeat of what allows your work to thrive, your business to thrive, your creative project to thrive. Taking care of you is taking care of the thing, the project, the entity, the company, whatever it is. And seeing it as absolutely non-negotiable, just as you would any other client meeting. Oftentimes our own soul care is what we put on the back burner. But again, the more you're anchored in self, the more you're able to kind of have that filtration system. What is for me? What is not for me? And that helps you live in alignment around what you are here to do. And so if it helps trick your brain to think of your walks as productive, or think of your meditations as efficient, or to prioritize your daily reading as something that you need to do, think of it as work. Think, the rest of my life will not operate until and unless I'm taking care of me. And those soul care things, those self-care things, they differ person to person, but there is an ask to regenerate your soul space. And if you need to trick yourself with Venus and Capricorn, see it as a necessary component to your business, to your work, to your company. The moon will be void after its sextile to Pluto until it enters Aries at 10:26 p.m. And Aries is our fighting spirit. It's our fire. It's our zest. That evening, the Aries moon will square Venus in Capricorn, which can be this kind of push-pull around what it is that you feel is right for you and what is right for your connection, for your relationship, for your partnership to run like a well-oiled machine, right? And this kind of push-pull around wanting to keep and maintain your own independence versus also wanting to build towards this partnership energy. There could also be what it is that you want versus what it is that you have to be for your responsibilities and your obligations within the external world. That could be something that's alive on Monday night. And I do also want to highlight that Mercury is building to square Saturn. It aligns early tomorrow morning. And this could just put our headspace in a little bit more of a negative mentality. We could just be a little bit over it. There could be bad news that someone expresses to us. We could just be in a little bit more of a negative, pessimistic headspace. So it's just also something to bear in mind. On Tuesday, November 12th at 5:22 a.m. PST, Mercury in Sagittarius will square Saturn in Pisces, which is the astrological embodiment of the womp womp, Sout. Truly, this is a bad news transit. This is a negative headspace transit. This is feeling over it. And this was reflected within the vibe check around opening your inbox and getting that bad news awaiting there that you must return to the office, hindering your freedom, right? Mercury's in Sagittarius. There is a call right now where we're wanting to be free. And there's something within our life, it might be our responsibilities, that's causing us to be less free around, apparently, I have to show up at this particular time, at this particular place, because my job makes me to. It's like hindering my own freedom. Like, my job is getting done. Why do I have to do it in the way that you want me to do it? It could be frustrating. So some of our responsibilities could be hindering us. It could also just be elements of your life. You know, your child could have a cough and they have to stay home from daycare. So you have to take care of them. You could get an email from a client that you have to redo something. And now you're going to have this nice day, but now your freedom is limited because now you have to redo this thing. It's just a little bit of a blah energy. Just a little bit of a blah energy. And we're feeling less free because of it. It feels like we're hitting a wall. You know, if Mercury in Sagittarius is a road trip, listening to the radio with the windows down and the breeze in our hair, Saturn is like a flat tire. It's limiting our journey, our quest, our sensation of freedom. And you just could have bad news coming in on Tuesday morning. You yourself could just be in a little bit of a negative headspace. And like I said, always ask, is this mine? Like, sometimes you will be walking around with negativity that is not even yours, or sorrow that is not yours, sadness that is not yours. Ask, is this mine? And if it's not, return it. My energy is mine, yours is yours. I'm enforcing the strong filtration system for my waters, right? With Saturn and Pisces stationing direct a couple days from now. But there can be certain bummer-like energies alive. We could be feeling more stressed. We could have a lot on our mind. For some, maybe you had a long weekend. This is the vibe around going back to work and be like, ugh, do I have to be here? Life can be so burdensome and so mundane and such a headache. You could also feel like you are being silenced in some way. You know, there is an emphasis of this in this week's astrology. The full moon later this week lands in Taurus. Taurus governs our throat. And so there just could be an energy around feeling like it would be a lot more convenient to maybe those in charge, those around you, if you kept your mouth shut. Now, Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow, which means the conversations had now, the information that comes out now is going to be reviewed. Mercury in Sagittarius is a blunt energy, and with Mercury square Saturn, our words can have consequences. So it's not me saying that you need to loudly vocalize every single thought that's happening within your brain, but you can have this energy around you're not being heard. Like, you came to that meeting within the vibe check with receipts. You had great feedback from your bosses. Your numbers have never been better. You're doing the best that you've ever done. You also have personal receipts. I'm healthier. I'm able to take care of my family. I'm able to do this. I'm able to do this. And I'm not being heard. My stance here is valid, and you're suppressing me. You're not hearing me because it would be more convenient for me to stay quiet and stay in line. So even if that's not coming up around work, you could just feel this energy around feeling silenced. You know, were you silent or were you silenced? It's kind of the energy with Mercury square Saturn. And again, sometimes silence is a strategy, okay? With Scorpio season, we got to know how to work things. And with Mercury in pre-retrograde shadow, it's not the time to just be speaking willy-nilly and just speaking our mind about everything that's running through our mind, right? Words can have consequences, but there could be an energy around my ideas aren't being respected. I also feel for some of you could come through around you're trying to be optimistic, right? Maybe your partner's going through something and you're like, well, maybe we could do this. And they're just like not in the mood to hear it. They're just like, I don't want to hear your optimism right now. Or you can even have new ideas around how you want to change things. And with the energy of Saturn, it's being so rooted in the reality that people aren't able to dream with you around, wouldn't it be fun if we went to Tahiti, and talking to someone who's like, yeah, like we're really going to go to Tahiti. Like feeling like your dreams, your optimism is being crushed a little bit. And you're like, dang, I'm just trying to be positive. Why are you such a Debbie Downer? Like that could sort of be the vibe. Like dream with me. Does anyone know how to dream anymore? Like that can sort of be the energy. And with Mercury square Saturn, even if it doesn't come up within conversations with others, you could just feel blah. There's a lot on your mind. You are not feeling particularly free within your world. You're feeling suffocated by to-dos and responsibilities and obligations. And there just could be an energy where you're not seeing the world clearly. And that's the biggest thing that I want to express and why I think astrology could be quite helpful, whether it's a Saturn aspect like this or Saturn transit that we're navigating for, is just to know that this two-shot shall pass. It's a blah day, it's not a blah life. Okay, it's an off day, it's not an off life. It's important to have that perspective, as well as know the story's not over yet. The story's not over yet. Even if there's bad news that comes up around this time, keep in mind, Mercury will return to this dialogue when it meets up with Saturn 2 more times. So we are getting some foreshadows and hints and clues. So if you do receive bad news or kind of bummer information that comes out, sit tight, because it could be part of a continuing dialogue. That's why the vibe check was a little bit open-ended. We don't know how it ended. You could have quit. You could have decided you're gonna start your own thing. You could try to change the workplace. You know, Uranus could be a very rebellious energy. Maybe you're getting a petition signed, but the ending this week's vibe check is inconclusive for a reason, because the story is still being written. We're in the foreshadow of the upcoming Mercury retrograde. So there's more to what's happening now. So just know with Mercury square Saturn, if there is something that feels like a bummer or something that feels disappointing or something that's weighing heavily on your mind, just know that it may be repeated when it comes to the Mercury retrograde. So there is an energy around, the story's not done yet. So try to hold on to hope. You know, these are 2 Jupiter ruled signs. Hope is the most powerful thing that we hold on to. Faith is the most important thing that we hold on to. It's hard when we have Mercury square Saturn, when there's information, when there's reality that feels like it negates the hope that we're holding on to, but you must continue to hold on to it and just know that this too shall pass. And honestly, on Tuesday, within our lunar story, we have this fiery energy. So some of us could feel fired up. Right? With Mercury square Saturn, we could get that email and feel discouraged, but with this very loose, fiery grand trine, there could be this energy around, oh heck no. Like, let me utilize this anger that the situation is bringing up to gather my receipts, to advocate for myself. Because the Aries moon will trine Mars and Leo in the morning time. And so this is this energy around remembering what it is that you've created, like remembering who it is that you are around, no, my stats have been great. My feedback has been this. I deserve to advocate for what it is that I want. I deserve to gather these receipts. So at least I can try. At least I could try to change my destiny or try to express myself. Who knows if I will be heard, right? Sometimes with Mercury square Saturn, we're speaking, but other people are just like la, 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 like your bosses at that meeting who are just like not trying to hear your well put together argument, but it's not allowing that fire within you, that hope, that faith to burn out. Right? It's keeping that alive. The Aries moon trines Mars in Leo. So I would say great opportunities to start your day with a workout. Tuesday is Mars day. Mars is our physical fitness and energy. So allow yourself to do things that allow you to feel powerful and empowered. Even if you feel defeated by certain circumstances, it's refusing to see yourself as a loser, essentially. That's what I love about Aries energy, is that no matter what Aries energy goes through, they refuse to see themselves as a victim to those circumstances. Even if they have legitimately been a victim in some circumstances, it's like continually seeing themselves as a victor and choosing to rise above and choosing to continue to fight for and advocate for what it is that they want. So again, there could be things that get us down. There could be bad news that comes in, but we're not staying down is the vibe. And even if that's not working out, doing something on Tuesday morning that helps you regenerate your fighting spirit or feel powerful or feel in control or feel confident, feel hot even. And to be exact, the Aries moon trines Mars and Leo around 2:30 a.m. I certainly will not be awake for that. Some people may, but we still will be feeling that kind of motivated energy in the morning time. So again, you could put that towards working out, advocating for yourself. And then later that evening, the Aries moon will trine Mercury in Sagittarius. You can find later that night you are learning about something, potentially something new. Mercury in Sagittarius is a very curious sign. Aries moon is drawn to the new. You could feel lit up by information that is coming in that could help to regenerate your fire within in some way. You could be having conversations that might be bold and raw and unfiltered. But ultimately, with this loose fire grand trine, just know there might be certain experiences that sometimes threaten to blow out our flame, right? And it's being intentional around the things that regenerate your flame, your passion, your empowerment, your fire. Like, please do not count yourself down and out based on what it is that you're going through. A lot of us can feel legitimate hindrances to our sensation of faith to our optimism. It's important to keep that flame alive within yourself. Again, showing up for you is showing up for everything else within your world. So do whatever necessary to ignite that flame within you and keep it burning. That's doing things that you are passionate about. That's doing things that return you to your own essence. That's maintaining your fighting spirit, not necessarily fighting people, but fighting for what it is that you want out of this life and even what it is that you deserve. On Wednesday, November 13th, the moon is in Aries for a majority of the day. In the morning time, it sextiles Jupiter, but aligns with Chiron. So with the sextile to Jupiter, some of us could start the day, this aligns at 5:51 a.m., feeling maybe a little bit more optimistic. Maybe we had a good cry the night before at the bad news or at just the negative headspace, and we're feeling a little bit of hope. Maybe even potentially around, well, this is not great news that my company is making me go into office, but who knows, maybe they'll change it. Maybe they'll hear me when I present them these results, or even trying to find a silver lining around, well, I guess my office is by that coffee shop I really like, and I guess I can go there, and maybe it'll be nice to be next to my coworkers again. Something like this, trying to see the best in the current circumstance. Now, at 6:49 a.m., the moon aligns with Chiron, which can bring some of us back to this wounded place where that news could have pinged at a familiar pain loop within. Around getting this bad news that you are forced to go back into the office could bring you back to past times in which you feel that you were not appreciated or seen. And it makes you feel like all of the work that you've done is going into the void. Like literally, do they not see how much I've sacrificed for this position? Do they not see how hard I've worked? Do they not see how I've given everything to this? Feeling like a lot of your efforts and your advocacy is going into the void. It could bring you back to familiar pain loops where this situation may be new, right? This information is new. We're all gonna have to work from the office, but it brings you to this wounded place around not feeling seen. Maybe not feeling heard with Mercury square Saturn, but not feeling seen or acknowledged, or feeling like your efforts are not being validated in some way around, I've worked tirelessly for this position. I have sacrificed so much of my world to go above and beyond. I have received all of this amazing feedback, and for what? To be treated like this? For what? And with Moon Chiron, it could bring you back to familiar pain loops around other times in which you did not feel seen, in which you did not feel heard, in which you did not feel acknowledged, in which you felt like you had to fight for what was owed to you. And sometimes there's an energy around being sad that we have to be in fight or flight, or that we have to protect ourselves, or that we have to defend ourselves as much as we have had to in this life. Like maybe the illusion that is crumbling with Saturn stationing direct in Pisces is this illusion around my bosses have my best interests at heart and they'll give me what's deserved and I don't need to stand up for myself. Like with Moon Chiron, it could just be that acknowledgement around, dang, I wish I didn't have to stick up for myself. I wish I didn't have to be in self-preservation mode. I wish I didn't have to be so intentional around whom I allow in and whom I did not. I wish I didn't have to have this filtration system within my own orbit, because it's a lot of work to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves, to advocate for ourselves. It's a lot of work, but nobody's gonna do it unless you do. And sometimes when we return to that Chiron part, it's like this energy around, gosh, I'm so sad that I need to protect myself, defend myself. And maybe I miss and I'm grieving the version of me who believed that everybody had my best interest and that I didn't have to protect and defend myself. Alas, I'm living in this version of the world, and this is a very real version of the world, and no one's going to do it unless I do it. And with the energy of Aries, it's also honoring that sometimes you need to advocate for yourself. You need to fight for yourself. You need to fight for what it is that you deserve, and not allowing yourself to kind of cower or back down or operate in this wounded part around, okay, I'll just go back to feeling underappreciated and feeling like my efforts are unseen. Like at least you could try. At least you could advocate for yourself, and at least you could try. I will say that with the Aries moon scoring Pluto in Capricorn at 10:50 p.m. that night, a lot of us could feel legitimately suppressed by the powers that be. And again, by the crumbling powers that be. Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, the old way is crumbling, and that's why people who are determined to uphold status quos that are no longer aligned for where it is that we're going are clinging so desperately to it, and the shadow side is being illuminated to such an intense degree. And again, this could come up in Capricorn ways, which is workplaces and businesses and greed of structures and things of that nature. But it does feel like with the Aries moon, we might be advocating for ourselves. With the square to Pluto, there's an energy around, oh, how cute. How cute. You know, this employee came in with their receipts and how they're doing a great job, but no, you're going to be in the office because we said so and because you are part of this company and what we say goes. And that could feel very disheartening. And again, this is a very unique story, but some of us could just feel this with the state of the world around what's the point of trying? What's the point of fighting? Like with the square to Pluto, it could be a temporary loss of a battle, but it's not counting yourself out of the war. And I don't mean to be so aggressive with my language. I'm not saying there's a literal war. It's just Aries is what it is that we're fighting for. And so it's worth sticking up for yourself even if it is a loss. And I'm not saying we have to kick and scream and fight within the workplace, but even if it's small victories around validating yourself and what you deserve and what you feel, even if this has nothing to do with work, if someone makes a comment that makes you uncomfortable, rather than just going with the flow and acting like it's fine, Aries moon could be this energy around, what did you mean by that? Or Aries moon could be this energy around revoking access of yourself from this person. And with the square to Pluto, there could be an energy around feeling like you lost, you still have to be around this person or something of that nature. But in that moment, you chose to validate yourself. You chose to stick up for yourself. You didn't let that wounded part of you that wants to kind of cower and minimize and hide to win. You're allowing yourself to take up space. And again, when we take up space, a lot of entities, corporations, and people in power will want to tell us to get back in line or get back in our place or be a little bit smaller. Like, oh, how cute, you're trying to take up your own space, get back in line. And it's important not to let that win. And again, it's a long game. Play the long game. That's also why this week's vibe check is inconclusive, because it doesn't always behoove us to operate on instinct, like with the Aries moon around fighting or lashing out in that particular moment. Sometimes we can make people, authority figures, entities, corporations, feel like they're winning while we're plotting our next steps. Like this could be energy around smiling as they're telling you that you have to come back into the office and that thank you for the receipts and the well put together argument, but everybody needs back in the office, and you're smiling and you're like, okay, I'm gonna let you think that you won and that I'll be back in my desk, but surprise is on you because I'm starting my own nonprofit, or I'm going to look for a new job or something of that nature. Like again, sometimes you have to let people think that they're winning as you're playing the long game. And that means kind of controlling your impulse of what you want to do in that particular moment. However, it is important to validate yourself and even stick up for yourself in a micro way around the least I could do is ask. The least I could do is advocate for myself around why I want to work from home or something of that nature. And if they say no, then I can go to option B, which might be the long game, but sometimes you gotta let people think they're winning as you are plotting your own victory. Now, other themes of this is that you could just be feeling a little disheartened by the state of the world. You could be feeling anxious. You could be feeling intense emotions. Again, be mindful of running on impulse or even allowing anger or frustration to get the better of you at this particular moment. Again, if people are very pushy with you, very forceful with you, or even very defensive with you, it could potentially be coming from a wounded place. We had that moon alignment with Chiron earlier in the day. And again, everybody has a different coping strategy. Some people, freeze or try to minimize themselves. Some people fawn. They try to make the other person feel comfortable. Some people fight. Right? So sometimes when someone's feeling triggered in some way, they'll go on the offense or they'll be very defensive. So people could be a little much, especially with the moon building to square Pluto later that day. Power struggles can be alive here. Again, people trying to tell you what to do, which could really fire you up. One thing about Aries, if you want them to do something, tell them if they can't do it. Then they want to do it even more so. And so if the email said, everybody has to now work from home, there might have been part of you that might have been like, wait, now I want to work from the office. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it is kind of like the cosmic child of the zodiac. And oftentimes if you tell a child that they can't do something, you can't touch the stove, it kind of like invigorates their curiosity to do just that thing, right? But with the energy of Aries moon square Pluto, there just could be intensity brewing later that day with Pluto energy. Helpful to alchemize. Again, if you're frustrated, put it into a workout. If you are mad, put it into something productive. Like it can be helpful to not let your impulses get the better of you. You could have certain emotional responses that seem a little dramatic or exaggerated to the outside view. The moon is void at 10:50 until it enters its exaltation of Taurus at 10:59 p.m., which ostensibly should be an energy that's grounded and sensual and steady, and it is. But I just want to remind you that we have the full moon on Friday. So the moon is getting bigger and bigger, and which means our emotions are swelling as well. And so that's where it's extra important to be diligent around the care and keeping of you. On Thursday, November 14th, the moon is in Taurus all day long. We're officially in full moon prep, so things can feel a little intense. People can seem a little rushed. Emotions can feel more exaggerated and highlighted and emphasized. You could feel extra busy. There's a lot going on. And you could feel a little frustrated by it. Honestly, the day starts with the Taurus moon squaring Mars and Leo. So you could be feeling a little drained, a little depleted. You know, we all experience full moons differently. Some individuals feel very energized around them, can't sleep, restless. Some individuals feel drained, exhausted. I will say on Thursday, you could be more so in the drained and exhausted camp, particularly as you start the day with moon square Mars. You could just be like, I just don't even have the energy for all the things that I have to do right now. You can also just feel like people have you messed up. People have you messed up. Like with Taurus moon square Mars and Leo, you could just be appalled by the things that people are trying with you. Like this coworker really asked me how to save something as a PDF. Like really wanted me to take time out of my busy workday to talk with them step by step around how they could save something as a PDF when they could have Googled it. Like there just could be certain frustrating things like that that are just kind of getting under your skin and are frustrating you around, I have to expend my precious energy on this, right? We've got Mars and Leo. Leo is like regal, royal energy. So you could just be like, this just feels beneath me, having to teach you step by step how to save something as a PDF. And there could just be certain frustrations that are alive, things that are getting under your skin. Taurus is a sign that while they're chill and they're calm and they're easygoing, this is a sign that does have a temper. So there could be energy in the morning where tempers are flaring in some sense, but things do stabilize, at least as much as they can stabilize as we build to a full moon aligning with Uranus, with the Taurus moon trining its ruler, Venus in Capricorn, around 4:13, where there could be an energy around, I cannot believe this coworker asked me to help them save this as a PDF. I cannot believe that person cut me off on the highway. Like, I just need to do something that like soothes me, that grounds me down. Maybe that's lighting a candle. Maybe that is wearing something that makes me feel cozy and happy. Maybe that is making myself a latte, like doing something that just like anchors me into this particular moment. And again, with all of this earthy energy, there could just be a desire to really anchor yourself within your physical vessel. You know, Uranus energy can make us feel erratic, uneasy, anxious, all over the place as it builds. And I just want to emphasize today, but also tomorrow, if you are feeling anxious, if you're feeling scattered, if you're feeling all over the place, connect to your physical body, okay? Spend time in nature, breathe, move your body, eat nutritious foods, make a cup of tea, make a cup of hot chocolate, do something that connects you into your physical vessel. Remember to breathe and remember one step at a time, okay? It's very Taurian energy, one step at a time. And taking care of you is taking care of everything else. That's super important to keep in mind. If you do find today or tomorrow you're like stressed or you're feeling anxious or all over the place, ask yourself, what can I do to ground myself down? What can I do to nourish myself and care for myself? Because it's not to say that it's an easy week, but it's easier to manage when you are pouring into yourself. And it just feels like with this earthy energy, pouring into your physicality, doing the things that make you feel present and grounded and anchored in the now, just feels to be helpful. And again, being surrounded by beauty with the Taurus moon trine Venus in Capricorn, seeing the beauty within your day-to-day. And that's also echoed with the Taurus moon sextile Saturn in Pisces that evening. There could be a lot of emotions building, and it can feel quite anchoring to attune to what is physical and real and in front of me. Attune to what am I eating? What am I wearing? How am I moving? What nature am I surrounded by? Like, anchoring into your senses can help you feel more calm during this time. And also with the sextile to Saturn, showing up for your responsibilities, for what it is that you have to do. Anything can be grounding if we view it through that lens around doing your laundry, just anchoring into that physical experience around, I'm washing this shirt and then I'm washing this shirt. Same goes with cooking, being very present around breathing in the spices and stirring and finding the pleasure, finding the enjoyment within these small moments of life. You might have some question marks about the big things of life, but you can find some pleasure and some grounding in these smaller facets of life. So on Friday, November 15th, big day, my loves, big day, buckle your seatbelts. We have two major events happening today, and these stories may be unrelated. They may be showing up within totally different life arenas, and for some, there can be interesting tie-ins. So let's get specific. What am I talking about? So firstly, at 6:20 a.m., Saturn stations direct. Think back to June 29th, 2024. And even if you don't know specifically where you were at June 29th, 2024, think about what was transpiring around that time, as this is when Saturn stationed retrograde. Now think before that, think March 2024. What was alive within your experience then? That's when Saturn was at 12 degrees Pisces, which is the degree that it's stationing direct on now. And with Saturn direct, there is this nudge to deeply implement what could have been simmering since June, or potentially even for some March. Maybe there were contemplations around where you were leaking your energy out, whether that was emotionally, whether that was energetically, whether that was financially, right? Like there could be an energy with Saturn around, no one's gonna defend me like I will. No one's gonna enforce these boundaries until I do. Too many people benefit when I do not have boundaries. We need to get comfortable letting people down, disappointing people, because boundaries will only scare off the wrong people for you and the wrong positions for you. And oftentimes we have the hardest time enacting boundaries with people and things that we're on the shakiest foundation with. You ever notice that? Where there are some people, we'll say, in your life where you have no problem telling them, this hurt my feelings and you made me mad here and this was not okay. There are some people where you feel comfortable enforcing your boundaries. And then there's some people where you feel scared to do so. You're more so like, okay, whatever, or you silence or you just cower down. And I would argue that likely the people that you are more comfortable enacting boundaries with are people that you feel like you're on a solid foundation with, because you know that won't scare them away, right? You feel solid with them. So you allow yourself to have reactions that are inconvenient. You allow yourself to have boundaries that are inconvenient because you feel on solid foundation. If you don't feel on solid foundation with someone, you could have fears around, what if I stick up for myself and they don't want to hang out with me any longer? Really look at your desire to be convenient. And if you're trying to be convenient for people who you have this awareness around, our foundation is not solid. Like we're trying to build something on quicksand. And that's why I'm so scared to make the wrong move or say that I need this from what it is that we're building, because I recognize that it's not solid enough for me to be able to be inconvenient, to take up space. That's the very nature of Saturn, are things that have substance, things that are real. Things that take up space. You are allowed to take up space. The energy of Pisces can make us feel like we have to be everything for everybody. It's because it's a shapeshifter. It could be like, okay, if you need me to disappear and lower my standards and move around what it is that you want, I'll do it. And the energy of Saturn is like, no, you take up space. You just do, as a soul, as a person. And for you to fulfill your God-given, source-driven talents and abilities, it's important for you to take up space. When it comes to Saturn and Pisces, it's also defining what you will use your gifts for and what it is that you will not use your gifts for. Other people who wanted us to be something different, that may not sit well with them, but that's okay. Because this world will deplete you and drain you as much as you will allow it until you learn to enact boundaries. I want to highlight, for those of you who have mutable placements between 12 to 19 degrees, the Saturn and Pisces story is personal to you, particularly if it's personal planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, between 12 and 19, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. This has been a personal lesson for you. And especially if we think of mutable energy, you know, it's adaptable, it's shapeshift. So it's like, okay, this is what you need me to do? You need me to stay late? Okay. You need me to do this? Okay, okay, okay. Like again, taking and taking more and more. And there's been an acknowledgement, particularly if you've had a Saturn transit this year, around, I have acquiesced and you've eroded my boundaries a little bit more. I have acquiesced and shapeshifted and tried and molded myself, and it still wasn't enough. And now I feel depleted. Now you have taken from me. And I could blame you. I could blame the job. I could blame this person who's waiting for me. And absolutely, they have a role to play within that. But ultimately, like, it is up to me to protect myself. It is up to me to define, no, that is not okay. No, that is not a role that I'm going to play. No, I'm not going to shapeshift in that particular way. No, I deserve to hold my own space. I don't need to acquiesce and shapeshift to everything that other people want me to be. I'm gonna take up space. And that may be me not being the right person for you. This relationship not being the right relationship for you. This may mean the workplace is not the right workplace for me. Again, we have the hardest time enacting boundaries in situations where we can feel intuitively that the foundation is shaky, because there's a fear around, what if I enact this boundary and then it's gone, right? What if I plug this leak and the weed leaves me, right? There's like that fear of that. But again, you don't want anything within your aura that is contingent upon you depriving and depleting yourself. And you will never scare off the right people, places, and things for you by enacting boundaries around what you need in order to show up for your God-given and source-driven calling in this lifetime, as well as what protects you, what protects your sensation of hope, what protects your spiritual ability. Not everybody deserves access to your sparkle, to your magic, to your spirit. Not everybody deserves it. Not everybody will feel appreciative of it. And your magic must come with a moat. You must have security around your sparkle. Like truly, it's not for everyone. If your boundaries have been eroded to such a high degree, if you allow yourself to be jaded, if you allow your waters to be poisoned, right? You lose out on that magic for yourself, and you deserve it for yourself. So it's just the energy around, I need like this filtration system, because I gotta mind my own magic. I gotta safeguard my own sparkle, okay? Not everybody gets access to it, because I've seen what happens when I acquiesce. I've seen what happens when I shapeshift. I see what happens when I've got leaky boundaries. Leaky boundaries attract weeds, leeches, and parasites. And weeds, leeches, and parasites do not deserve your magic. You deserve your magic. And the right people, situations deserve your magic. But Saturn energy is like really enforcing a filtration system. So you're not just giving your magic out willy-nilly. Okay, listen, it's too valuable. Venus in Capricorn has got us standing on business. Okay, so with Saturn direct, yes, some of us are facing hard things, hard truths. Dang, I so wanted to believe that you had my best interest in heart. Dang, I so wanted to believe that you loved me for who I am and not just what I do for you. Dang, I so wanted to believe that my bosses in this situation who have known me for years would hear me when it comes to my overall vitality as a human being. Dang. But it doesn't help me any longer to stay in illusion. I've got to see this clearly, and I've got to enact these boundaries. Because now it's Saturn direct. What's been swimming within us, we are now being asked to enforce outside of us. Direct is around the external world. So with Saturn direct, we could be enforcing something, choosing something, deciding something. We've seen what we needed to see, okay? And we're filtering our system. I'm revoking my access to you. I'm saying no to this. I'm having a limit here. I'm exerting discipline here. No longer. I got to safeguard my sparkle. I deserve it. I owe it to myself. And when we think of Saturn energy, it's consequence energy. It's ramification energy. It's cause and effect energy. And for some of us, we can feel the effects of past actions begin to stack up. Like Saturn is the planet of karma. So with Saturn direct, there can be an energy around karma catching up in some way. There also could be an energy around something that we're trying to outrun catches up to us. Like if we were purposely trying not to see something, keeping ourselves suspended in fantasy and illusion, potentially since June or even March of this year, with Saturn direct, it's like, I have to see this clearly. I can't run from this any longer. I can't put my rose-colored glasses on anymore. I can't give the benefit of the doubt anymore. I can't convince myself that it'll be better in a month of time, a year of time. I just need to go off what is being shown to me within reality. And again, that's where we decorate our truth. That's where we try to make it pretty. That's where we try to make a fantasy out of it, because that's a lot more palatable. And it's a lot harder when we look at the hard thing. And it's hard because, of course, we don't want to experience pain. And that's where we keep ourselves suspended in fantasy and illusion around one day, or it's not so bad, or they're good at heart, or what have you, but that just delays pain. It doesn't actually erase the pain, it just delays pain. Once we look at something clearly, it's stark, it's harsh, it's depressing. It's like, dang. Because you also think about how long you were keeping yourself in that fantasy illusion cycle. But again, the healing begins when you look at it clearly. And I would also say actions have consequences. And that could be something that is catching up with you. If you have been not doing the work, particularly in the Pisces arena of your chart, if you have been glossing over, if you have been avoiding, if you have been procrastinating in that arena, you could start to feel those consequences come up. You could be the one doling out the consequence around You have treated me every which way, so your consequences, you don't get access to me any longer. Maybe not to the level that you had prior. Your actions have consequences. When someone does you dirty, you can feel your feelings about it, but the only way for you to really respond is just setting that new limit around, okay, you've lost access to that ring of my inner world. We're putting you outside the moat, okay? You're outside the moat. You're out. I've seen what I need to see. You're out. The tribe has spoken. If you watch Survivor, your torch is out. Okay, you're done. You're done. We voted you off the island. You're done. And maybe I'll be friendly to you. Maybe I'll smile to you, but you'll never get in a reservoir to my soul, to my secrets, even my spiritual reservoir within me. Like I used to pray for you. I used to overextend myself for you. I used to do everything and anything for you. And you lost out on that. That was a result of what you did. Your actions have consequences. So some of us are doling out the consequences. We're voting people out of the island. Again, I'm not saying you have to quit your job, kick people out of your life, but there just could be an energy around, you're a friend of mine and you told a secret of mine. So then you're no longer the friend I tell secrets to. I've seen how my bosses treat me within this work environment. So not staying late any longer because this organization clearly doesn't care about my well-being and I'm ripping myself from the illusion that they do. And again, this disrupts the norm because today we have the Taurus full moon. It exacts at 1:28 p.m. and this full moon lands at 24 degrees Taurus. So that aligns with Uranus, which is sitting just a degree away. So again, there are surprising emotions surfacing. There are record scratch moments. There are plot twists happening. Some of us, we are the plot twist. Other people are the plot twist. Life could be the plot twist. Like there could just be certain things where it's like, this was not on my 2024 bingo card, which can make us feel very unsettled and uneasy. And that's where yesterday's talk around grounding yourself into your physical vessel gets really important because with this Uranus energy, you just feel like you're not feeling stable. You're not feeling secure. You're feeling nervous. You're feeling all over the place. And it's hard to feel sovereign and autonomous as an individual when you're feeling scattered, when you're feeling unsettled. Other themes that this full moon can bring up. Taurus is around what it is that we own. And that's where it gets into the vibe check around, oh, you think I'm possession of this company. You just see me as something to make a profit, right? Like there can be financial themes, certainly, with this energy of Taurus, which is also why it's kind of like a worky vibe check. And also Taurus brings up themes around value and self-worth. Around, I love myself too much to allow myself to be invalidated to this degree. You guys are not seeing my value. You're not seeing my worth. And that could be a signal that you've got to change something. You've got to disrupt something with the alignment to Uranus. Some of us can feel inclined to do our own thing, to go our own way. Some of us can feel inclined to rebel, to stick up for ourselves, to remember that you are a unique individual, that you don't need to fit into the mold that's been cast for you or what would be convenient for you to play. What would be the most profitable for you to be? And maybe part of this kind of boiling point within this vibe check is around, this is affecting my finances, right? Like with the full moon aligning with Uranus, money is weird right now. And so there could be this energy around how much gas I'll have to spend and how much money I have to spend on food when I work so far from it. And maybe that's kind of the pushing point around something's got to change. Like this is taking too much of a toll on me, on my energy, but also my bank account with the energy of Taurus. And I want stability and I want security, but at what cost? Okay. Taurus full moon, answer into Venus and Capricorn. Show me the money, okay? And beyond even just the money in our bank account, the return on investment. I have given and given and given, and I'm not getting what I need out of this. And again, I can advocate, I can state my points, I can ask for this raise, I can ask for my boundaries to be met in this particular arena. If they are not willing to be met or honored or respected, that's my sign I've got to change something. With the full moon on Uranus, I am worth too much. I'm not getting the return on my investment of my time and energy here. So for some of us, there just could be this awakening around what we deserve, what we are worth. There could be awakenings around how it is that we feel, even if there are certain emotions that are inconvenient. It would be more convenient of us to just shut up and start working in the office. It would be more convenient to give this person another chance. It would be more convenient for us to allow ourselves to be walked all over. But you got to be inconvenient every so often. That's the energy of Uranus, because it's got to be true to you. You got to rebel against what is not you. Again, I feel like Saturn and Pisces, very not me energy, okay? Thinking of Chapel Roan, she's a Pisces. And with that paparazzi, she was like, not me. That's the vibe. I'm not saying you have to yell at paparazzi, but it's like the vibe around, nope, you thought you could try this with me, not me. not me, not me. Because at the full moon on Uranus, it's honoring the ways that you are unconventional. It's honoring the unique facets of who it is that you are. It's honoring the parts of you that don't fit neatly into a mold. It's the part of you that are inconvenient. But convenient to who? Convenient to upholding the status quo, the powers that be? It's just like, no, I have no interest in upholding this. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to rebel in the ways that make sense. Maybe that's shutting my mouth at this particular meeting, but planning to sign this petition with my coworkers, to find a new job, to start my own nonprofit. Like, it's just this energy around this is not aligned for me and for my quirks. I don't feel like my ideas are being heard. I don't feel like this place is in alignment with my values. Taurus energy draws our awareness to your values. I don't feel like I'm getting paid my fair worth. That could be an energy rebelling for some sort of financial cause that is near and dear to you, or being driven to make changes because of your financial situation in some regard. And again, there just could be things that come up today that are unexpected, that are surprises. And the Taurus full moon sextiles Neptune and trines Pluto as well. So it's important to know, even with the plot twists and the disruptions, things are playing out as they're meant to. Maybe not as we thought that they would or how we'd like to, even in a lot of instances, but potentially how they're meant to, with the sextile to Neptune. And with the trine to Pluto, this is what I was detailing earlier, where I was saying, you know, Pluto and Capricorn is like gripping into the way that things are. And Pluto energy has a tendency to show the shadow side. So we've seen with Pluto and Capricorn since 2008, the shadow side of big business and corporations and greed. And with it at the 29th degree, it's now like screaming. And again, that's where the powers that be, this nonprofit, even if they're not for profit, it's still this energy around the archaic ways that we think companies need to run and workplaces need to run, even if it doesn't make sense. With Pluto in 29 degrees Capricorn, it could just be this energy around, well, that's the way that things are. And this is the status quo that we need to uphold, even if it's ultimately changing. I mean, Pluto moves into Aquarius. We're moving into a new era. And oftentimes those who feel like they're losing power are the loudest or the most insistent, because there's this awareness, even if people aren't into astrology, there's awareness that things are changing and shifting, which is why there's such a clinging to the way that things were. Even if there's this acknowledgement around things are going to change, they have to. So just expect Friday to be a little intense, be a little volatile, okay, with this full moon Uranus energy in the air. The moon will be void around 11 p.m. Closing aspect is that trine to Pluto, and then the moon will enter Gemini at 11:09 p.m. So just a 6-minute void. And with the moon entering Gemini, there is more of a focus to our mental world, to conversing, to connecting, to learning. On Saturday, November 16th, consider today our full moon recovery. Full moons are when things come to light and there's epiphanies and there's news and there's culminations and there's ahas. And while the full moon is technically complete, the aftershocks, the reverberations are not quite done. And this is also emphasized with the Scorpio sun opposing Uranus and Taurus at 6:45 p.m. So of course, this was baked into the full moon itself, but there could also be some other revelations that come up. And ultimately, when it comes to sun energy, it's around our identity. It's around our ego. It's around our confidence. It's around, I love myself too much to allow myself to continue to play this role of the employee who has no boundaries, who goes above and beyond, who sacrifices her own desires in order to keep everybody else happy, or disrupting from the role around, oh, I'm just the cool one where it's all good. You could treat me however, it's all good. It's no worries. I have no needs or desires or boundaries of my own. Like with sun opposite Uranus, it's like, I love myself too much to let people come in and treat me every which way. Like I've got to disrupt how it is that people see me. And with Scorpio sun, it's like this energy around, yeah, I won't be the villain in some people's stories. Some people may think that I'm being difficult because I say what is making me uncomfortable. Some people will say I have too high of standards. Some people will say that I am rude. People will say whatever it is that they're going to say, but I don't live my life for them. And again, Uranus energy is weirdo energy. So people can think we are insane. People can think we're eccentric. People can think we're bizarre. But at the end of the day, you've got to be you. You've got to be you. And I just feel, and at the end of the day, you've got to be you. And with the energy of Uranus being around change, this quote came into my awareness the other day. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Again, with fixed energy, this is consistency. This is what it is that we're dedicated to, what it is that we're devoted to. And what we don't change, we're choosing. So ask yourself, what am I choosing here? Am I choosing relationships and partnerships where I'm feeling perpetually undervalued? Am I choosing to stay in workplaces in which I am being perpetually suppressed or not heard or not prioritized? Am I choosing not to put my creativity out there because I'm fearing judgment or fearing being called weird? What you're not changing, you're choosing. And so there can be some awareness coming up. Of course, with Uranus energy, there could be things that are unexpected. There could be ways that you're inclined to express yourself that are unexpected, that are catching you by surprise. The Gemini moon will sextile Mars in Leo in the morning time around 5 a.m. So the full moon might have drained us, might have been exhausted. Again, some of us feel very restless around full moons, but with the Gemini moon sextile Mars in Leo, there is this desire to move in the directions of what you're curious about, or at least what it is that interests you, what it is that sets fire to your soul, right? With the energy of Mars and Leo. That evening, we may feel a little bit crushed or a little bit stressed. The Gemini moon squares Saturn in Pisces at 7:52 p.m. So yes, the moon's in Gemini all day long, so we could be wanting to socialize and connect, but there can just be elements of where it is that we feel disheartened, or where it is that we sometimes struggle to connect with other people. Because like I said, Uranus energy is weirdo energy. And so there could just be an energy around, gosh, I just feel like an alien on this planet. And it's Scorpio sun making this opposition. So you could be like, does nobody else swim in the depths that I crave? Like I'm just in the social environment, everyone's talking about the small talk that doesn't matter. Like these things don't matter within the big scheme of things. And I'm wanting to talk about things that are deep and intense, and nobody else wants to go there with me. So it makes me feel quite alone for craving this level of depth out of what sometimes can be a very shallow world, honestly. So that could be making you feel alone. There could be an energy around feeling like you are marching to the beat of your own drum, feeling like you're kind of flying solo or doing your own thing, and feeling a little less connected to people because of that. But again, it's better to be single or temporarily alone. Again, community, friendship, connection is important, but it is better to be solitary or alone rather than in environments where you are perpetually disrespected and siphoned from. We do feel a little lonely when we recognize our worth. We do feel a little lonely when we stand on business. We are a little lonely when we have a firm moat where not everybody comes in. Because it's tempting not to have boundaries, because then you're for everybody, right? You're popular with everybody because you're shape-shifting, you're adjusting around. Oh, you need me to do this? You need me to do this? Okay. But when you have boundaries, when you hold up space, when you're like, oh no, I'm this, and I expect this, and this is what I'm about, the number of people who will be able to meet you there is smaller. It's a more quality number, and that's what you need to hold space for, but it is smaller. And even when it comes to work, like if we think of projects, when we think of YouTube, there's a temptation around wanting to cast the widest net possible and be everything to everybody, but it dilutes your magic. Like even when it comes to my YouTube channel and what it is that I desire to do with astrology and what it is that I feel that my gifts and talents have been given to me from God, from the universe, I've gotten very clear on what it's for. And yes, it's a smaller net of people. I will not do things that would likely attract more viewership simply because it's not in alignment with me. But with the energy of Saturn and Pisces, I would rather disappoint people for not being the astrologer for them rather than try to be the astrology for everybody and then be like a nothing watered down astrologer. It's better to be the best you that you can be rather than to be the best everybody for everybody else. It's kind of the nudge here, even if that means sometimes feeling a little lonely, or sometimes the net that you cast is a little bit smaller in number. But again, it's quality. On Sunday, November 17th, so the Gemini moon will oppose who it's answering to, Mercury in Sagittarius, around 4:41 a.m. So there could be things that are lighting us up. There could be interesting articles that we are reading or interesting adventures that we're wanting to go on, especially with the moon then aligning with Jupiter. Again, it's a new dawn, it's a new day. Every single day that you're learning and breathing is an opportunity to begin again. Every single day that you find something to giggle about, even if things feel bleak or dark, is a victory within itself. And also with the Gemini moon sextile Chiron in Aries, it can be helpful today to do things that are conducive for your healing, for you consciously working that muscle of joy and optimism and faith. These things are not things that just happen. It's things that we choose. And it's things that we prioritize by doing the things daily that are conducive for healing, doing the things daily that are conducive for hope and for faith and for optimism, which is even more important now than ever. I'll talk about that more when we get into some of the astrology that we're moving into, but it's deeply important for you to work that muscle, even if it feels inconsequential within the bigger scheme of things. When you show up for you, you show up for everything else, okay? You cannot show up for everything else or show up for what it is that you're feeling called to do with Saturn and Pisces if you are not giving to yourself. And again, this might just be a message for one person, but healing takes time. You can feel frustrated because you're like, I should be over this by now. And you can feel frustrated because you're like, I should be over this by now. Why can't I stop thinking about this? I want to share something that an intuitive recommended to me. She said, if there's ever something, a place that your mind's going that you don't want it to go there any longer, that's not a safe space for your brain any longer. It's keeping you suspended in fantasy and illusion. The Gemini moon squares Neptune. It's keeping you suspended in the past or in future potentials that may not come to light. She essentially recommended to put that situation, a visual of it, put it in a rose within your mind, visualize a rose, and then explode it. Explode the rose. And she was like, don't worry, it doesn't hurt them, it doesn't hurt the situation. It's just basically creating this neural pathway within your brain around, not there. We don't need to go there. And it takes time. Give yourself grace. It's not a linear process. It's not on a timetable, but it's just softly encouraging yourself around, this is not the mental processing that is going to help us get to where it is that we want to go, just healing from the situation. So poof. Because a lot of times when we're stuck in fantasy of the future or reminiscence of the past, we're nowhere land. We're nowhere. We're certainly not in the present. We're suspended in things that do not exist within this moment. So we dilute certain essences of ourself. And you deserve to be fully here and in all of the beauty that's around you right now. And that's emphasized with Gemini moon square Neptune and Pisces. Great day to do things that are good for the soul. Great day to get lost in documentary, lost in a great album. Lost in worlds that, yes, are make-believe, but are ultimately more inspiring rather than depressing or delusional or something of that nature. Neptune energy tends to make us gloss over details, so there could be certain things this weekend that we meant to do that we didn't quite get to, and we might go to sleep on Sunday and be like, what happened to cleaning the garage? What happened to meal prepping? Like, when it comes to Neptune energy, we can just be like, where did the time go? Where did the weekend go? But it's important to know, even with this earthy energy that's alive this week, yes, what we do is important, but also what we feel is important too. If you're somebody who has a tendency to anchor your sense of worthiness to how much you get done or how productive you are, start making a list at the end of the day around, yes, what you did, but also what were the moments you were the happiest? What did you learn today? What were conversations that you had that you were very present within? Like, it's learning to quantify your own enjoyment in other metrics beyond how much you got done. Because at the end of your life, sorry to get morbid, but Scorpio season, at the end of your life, you won't be like, gosh, I was so productive. I was so productive. I always did my laundry on Sundays. I always cleaned my baseboards. At work, I was working every single moment. I just guarantee that's not what you'll be thinking. So don't beat yourself up around what it is that you didn't get done this weekend. Prioritize how it is that you felt this weekend. What it is that you learned this weekend. What conversations you had this weekend. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I break the mold. Uranus energy is rebellion energy. And within the larger collective, we could just observe with this full moon on Uranus, people might be inclined to stick up for themselves, to advocate for what it is that they believe in, for what their values are. You know, Taurus brings in financial themes. There could be protests and strikes, or at least more than what we've witnessed already. There could be an energy with Uranus around also wanting to rebel to a personal level, around this does not align with me any longer. This is not true to who it is that I am. Again, if you always play by the rules, if you always stick in the mold that's been cast for you, if you always play your part, you will ultimately feel like a watered down, suppressed version of who it is that you came here to be, which is weird. With the energy of Uranus, it's different, it's quirky, it's brilliant, it's genius. You are not here to be one-dimensional. You are not here to be convenient. You are not here to be for everyone. And when you are not for everyone, people will say you're weird. Like with the energy of full moon on Uranus, people will say that you are weird, that you are different, that you are unconventional, that you are difficult, that you have too high of standards. People will say all sorts of things. But so long as you are being true to you, ultimately, that is what's most important. And it's scary to break the mold. We have to let people down sometimes. We have to be inconvenient. We have to revoke access of ourselves within particular arenas. But that mold is keeping you stuck. And it's growing season. It's Scorpio season. Growth is not the enemy. And sometimes when you are growing, that's where people, places, and things that want you to stay in this particular mold around, this is what we hired you for, this is the relationship we're meant to have, get even more insistent around wanting to fit us into a box and suppress us in some sort of way. Growth is not the enemy. Sometimes when we are growing, we are outgrowing, and that can threaten the status quo, particularly if we have this awakening around this is no longer a structure that I am growing within, or this no longer aligns with the ways that I've grown. I remember I literally, not joking, I broke up with someone, not at Taco Bell, but because of an incident at Taco Bell. I was in college and I was super excited. I had done all of this research about wanting to shift my diet to being vegan. I had done all this research. I was super lit up about trying this on and seeing how I felt and being able to help the environment within this particular way. And my boyfriend at the time took me to Taco Bell. Give him a break. We're in college. Okay, we won't judge his date night pick. I think it's all we could afford at the time. But we went to Taco Bell. And I'd done my research. I was super excited. I knew what to order and what modifications to get in order to align with being vegan. I was going to tell him there, like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to try to be vegan. And the way that he acted, like that was the biggest threat. We got in a huge fight. He was like, what, so you're vegan now? Oh, you're vegan now? Oh, it's good for the environment? Okay. Oh, you're vegan now? It's like, why is growth the enemy? Why is me being excited by something and being excited to grow into a new dimension such a threat to you? Why are you telling me that I'm weird for wanting to do something different or wanting to try something or to shift my diet in some particular way? Why are you so threatened by my growth? So it's not that I broke up with him about our meal at Taco Bell, but that was the awakening. Like sitting at Taco Bell, eating my little vegan burrito, having somebody reprimand me for daring to try something new. I'm like, okay, I'm not growing here. For us to grow together, growth cannot be the enemy. Because again, it's so minor, but sometimes it shows up in very minor ways when people are very threatened by you doing new things, by you growing to new dimensions of yourself. It's like if I'm going to be in a relationship, it needs to be one that is on the growth path where you don't see my wanting to try something new as a direct threat to you. Because to me, all that's signifying is that you fear losing me and you want to keep me stuck into this familiar role that I've played so that I do not evolve beyond you, which again, I did break up with him shortly after the Taco Bell incident. But again, sometimes the most micro meals or meetings or conversations can sometimes just allow us to see something clearly around, I'm outgrowing you and you don't want me to continue to grow. And I'm so excited to tap into these new dimensions. And so thus our paths must diverge. And we don't need to do something drastic. We don't need to break up with someone at Taco Bell or anything of that nature. But there just could be certain ahas that you have this week around being able to see something clearly, to see what is changing within you, where it is that you're craving change, and to see what will change and evolve with you and what is refusing to keep up with the times. Because listen, it's Scorpio season. Pluto enters Aquarius next week. The growth path is the path. So I'll leave you there, my loves. If you made it to the end of the forecast, go ahead and comment below the bull emoji for a little shout out to the Taurus full moon, or use the word bull within a sentence to let me know that you did make it to the end. I want to give another warm thank you to Magic Mind for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday forecast. A reminder, you can save 20% off your Magic Mind order when you utilize code COMET. Thank you again, Magic Mind, for the clarity, the focus, the productivity. Truly, Magic Monday likely would not go on without that. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCometAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.